radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Monday, June 13th, 2022. I hope everybody had a great, amazing weekend. Let's do this, man. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer, and UNX Networks. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? I had a great weekend, and I am ready. We've got a huge week this week on Fade to Black. Tonight, starting it off, very special guest, Rob Gauthier, is with us. He's with us for the first time, and this is a show that we've been trying to put together now for a few years, and it's going down tonight. Rob is with us. Tomorrow night, our annual Disclosure Fest special. Adrian Valera is going to be with us. And then we've got a whole list of special guests. And that is going down tomorrow night. And it's going to be great. Oh, man. And so that's tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, Scott Creighton is with us. And Scott Creighton, who was last with us, who wrote one of my favorite books that I have read over and over again, and I often quote from it, The Great Pyramid Hoax. And Wednesday night, live from the UK, Scott is back with us. We're going to talk about his new book, The Great Pyramid Void Enigma. You know about that void above the King's Chamber, okay, the Grand Gallery. So that is Wednesday night. Huge week here on the show. And then, of course, Thursday night is Fader night with open lines all night long. Phones are fixed, by the way. Open lines all night on Thursday. And there you go. I will have 1 day to rest because this Saturday, I'm hosting Disclosure Fest. It is going down this Saturday, June 18th, 2022. Yeah, 1 day, 10 a.m. in the morning till 10 p.m. at night. The Los Angeles State Historic Park in downtown Los Angeles, right next to Chinatown. And get your tickets, get ready. This is a huge event. And if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. This is a big, big deal. DisclosureFest.org. We're going to do our Disclosure Fest preview show tomorrow night. And then Saturday, I can't believe it. We had to take, the pandemic off. And now Disclosure Fest is back. We also have a few new sponsors to Fade to Black. And I'll be introducing you to them later on in the show tonight. Also, their commercials are running as well. So check all of that out. And everything is in the description box below. On YouTube, all of the banners and stuff and information is over at jimmychurchradio.com. Of course, we have it throughout social media. And now I play guitar, and I've got nails on this hand, right, to play with. My main one is my middle finger, right? And I chip the nail. And that means I've got to cut it back and I've got to regrow it. That's a distraction. That'll throw me off right there. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. At JChurchRadio. And I'm going to say this. Follow me on Twitter. And it's every night that I say that, when I go, follow me on Twitter, I look over on Twitter. And every night when I look over on Twitter, I see one of two things. Ken Priest or Kaz. There's Ken, man. Coming in strong. Coming in strong. Oh, man, I meant to wear his hat tonight. I'm going to wear it this week. Everybody's there. There's Third Stone and, yeah, Third Stone, Mediterranean Chicken, Stephen Owen, Betty Joe Jacks, Voice of God. Is that new? King Art Monger. Everybody's right there. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. All right. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Hello to everybody, whether you're listening or watching all around the world. This is Fade to Black, and I'm very excited about this week and what we've got going on. And then, of course, heading into the weekend with Disclosure Fest. As always, I'm in a great mood. Let's get to the breaking news. Big news today. The sun flexed its considerable magnetic muscles earlier today, and 2 solar spacecraft captured the show on video. If you haven't seen the video, you need to check it out. It's incredible. Earth's star unleashed a long-duration solar flare early this morning, blasting high-energy radiation into space for about 3 hours. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, which has been studying the sun from Earth orbit since 2010, observed the dramatic event in multiple wavelengths. The flare registered as an M3-4, putting it in the medium class of solar outburst. It was strong enough, however, to temporarily radio block out the Asia-Pacific region here on Earth. Both the SDO and SOHO snapped imagery of today's CME, showing the plasma cloud's immense size and impressive speed. SOHO, we're always talking about the L1, L2, the Lagrange points. SOHO circles the sun at Lagrange point 1, a gravitationally stable spot in space about 930,000 miles from Earth in the direction of our star. Yeah. I'm worried. One day, right? One day it's going to burp. I mean, like burp for real. And we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. I'm just letting you know. All right. Well, 2 galaxy clusters crashing into each other triggered enormous shock waves stretching 1.6 million light years through space. The particular cluster collision studied here by Chandra, the telescope, it's called Abell 2146. It's located 2.8 billion light years away. It's one of only three cluster collisions in the universe where the shock fronts are bright enough to be studied in detail. The findings have been accepted for publication in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, and a preprint is available via the Archive database. You need to check out Archive. It's ARXIV, the Archive database. Well, here we go. Always got an Amazon update. If I don't have an Elon Musk update, and I do, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow. I've got an Amazon update. People here in California, in the city of Lockford, more like a town, are set to become the first Amazon customers to get their packages delivered by drone. Amazon said today that it will begin to reach out to customers in the San Joaquin County community to let them know they can get their orders via Prime Air delivery. That's right. Amazon's drone delivery service will start later this year across the country. Amazon says its drones fly up to 50 miles per hour and can carry packages up to 5 pounds and as high as 400 feet in the air. It's not that high. It's not that high. What's a 400 feet? That's what? How many? That's a football field and a quarter. It's pretty low. Once someone places an order, the drone will fly, check this, to the customer's backyard and then release the package before flying away. So if you're in an apartment, your ass out. You're not getting nothing. High rise, I don't think so. But if you got a house and you got a backyard, you might be able to order your Amazon packages. 5 pounds. Okay, so you could order some tube socks. I think that's a great idea. You can order 1 canned ham, have that dropped in your backyard. There you go. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday. Hey, I'm wondering, I'm going to check on this. If you're in the flight line of an airstrip like I am, is that going to limit? Because not that far from my house, there is a ginormous Amazon distribution center. It's right there. I mean, I drive past it all the time. It's big. And I get Amazon deliveries quick. Pretty much everything in a day. And I got a backyard. But am I going to be deprived? I mean, I think that would be really cool. I'm serious. Have Amazon drop off a package in your backyard? Yeah, I'm down for that. I don't know. Too close to skunk works. I don't think it's going to happen. All right. On this day in history, 1983, talking about our star system. Big day. Pioneer 10 departs the solar system. That's right. After more than 10 years in space, Pioneer 10, the world's first outer planetary probe, leaves the solar system. And then the very next day, it radioed back its first scientific data on interstellar space. Now, this is what's weird. Man, I got a broken nail, man. I don't like that. This is what's wild. My memory says this about Pioneer and Voyager. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 and Pioneer 10 is Pioneer 10 was launched first, right? But Voyager 1 was launched years later. It passed Pioneer 10. And then Voyager 2, which was the last of the 3, because of its orientation with our star system and the way it did the gravity assist flying out, it got to interstellar space first, and it was third. So Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were already interstellar. Pioneer 10 was first, but the slowest. I think I've got my facts straight on that. Yeah, that just shows you I do way too much reading. Fader fact. This is a good one today. They're all good, but this one's extra special good. Norse paganism, the religion. Norse paganism is the fastest growing and largest non-Christian religion in Iceland. Yeah. That's a trip. And that is your Fader fact. And, I've got my Fader fact for tomorrow, crazy. My Fader fact for Wednesday, crazier. I so want to read these right now. They're so good. All right. Tonight, we welcome very special guest Rob Gauthier is finally on the show. He's with us for the first time. Tomorrow night, I've called tonight the channel conversation. I'm not going to say this while Rob is on the air, but I'll say this while he's probably listening, is that we have, in my opinion, we have Jane Roberts, who's no longer with us. We have Daryl Anka, Rob Gauthier. You know, that's the top tier of channelers. And tonight, Rob is with us. Very excited about this conversation tonight. That's why I'm calling it the channel conversation. So that's going down tonight. Tomorrow night is our Disclosure Fest special event. I've got 5 special guests tomorrow night. In addition to the producer of the event, Adrian Valera, is also going to be with us. And so we're going to do a complete review tomorrow night. And a couple of these guests for tomorrow night have been with us also for the very first time. So get ready for that. And then Wednesday night, Scott Creighton, he is back live from the UK. His new book is out, The Great Pyramid Void Enigma. Another great read from Scott. We'll be talking about that with him live from the UK on Wednesday night. And, of course, Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right. Can I order a couple of bags of Fade to Black blend? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's coming in on Twitter. I'm not going to say from who. And oh, man, hold on. Let me have some fun. Can I have some fun? I'm going to have some fun right here. Watch this. I'm going to post the link. Yeah. There you go. Oh, the tweet was deleted. That was from Ken Priest. Ken, why'd you delete the tweet? Why'd you delete the tweet, my man? I was just sending you the link. Oh, man. You guys are the best. Let me get straight to it. Now, let me say this before I get started. River Moon Wellness, Faded Black Blend, best coffee in the world. rivermoonwellness.com. Everything, everywhere, all at once. All right. You've heard about the movie. It's now streaming. You need to watch it. Need to peep it out. No spoilers. Not going there. No. In fact, it's impossible to spoil. There's way too many things going on in the movie. It's very fast paced, and yes, it is about the multiverse. And but one of the best, most original, and most interesting endings I've ever seen in film. And I've seen, I think, every film ever made. It's an incredible movie. And great performances all the way through, just straight up. It is everything that you've heard about the film and how great it is and whatever, 100% over at Rotten Tomatoes and all of that. I think it should be. It's worthy of the praise. Extremely original script. Extremely. A presentation like, and look, when you hit originality like this, what you need to do is what I did at the beginning of this film. What's going on? Right? And the buildup behind the film, because of the positive, nearly 100% positive response from moviegoers and critics and everybody out there, the media, your expectations are high. And so, man, I was nervous. I was excited. And I did the whole thing, man. Nachos, popcorn, peach pie, everything laid out, ready to go. I'm not kidding. Can of whipped cream sitting on the thing for the peach pie. I didn't want to get up. I was going to watch this beginning to end, and I did. So I was prepared. This was an event for me. And so when it starts off like that, the first 2 minutes in, when you're scratching your head, that's where you want to be. You don't want to be in some formulaic thing. All right. The ending is unbelievable. But this is the deal. The first sci-fi, the first real sci-fi, and this is debated. There are different societies and groups of sci-fi enthusiasts around the world that debate this all the time. When was the first sci-fi? Well, okay. In a general sense, the first stuff that was science and fiction combined was written in the early 1600s. Now, some say it was 1634, some say it was 1616. There were 2 or 3 books that were written about the same time. Some were written earlier but published later, and this is a debatable point. But that being said, if we also want to apply like magic and strangeness and mythology to that, well, you can go back to the Iliad or the Odyssey and Gilgamesh, right? Where there were things, ancient Egyptian, the gods and things. So that goes back thousands and thousands of years. So authors and creators of fiction, some of it was based in reality. I get that. But science fiction, right? Okay, so if we're going to ignore, the Odyssey, which to me was science fiction, but people want to take that off of the list. They want to just go to the science part of things. Well, in 1616, 1620, they were also writing about alchemy and fiction and combining that. And some say alchemy was magic. Alchemy wasn't real science. And then, right after that, 1634, 1640, more science started to come in. And then you have, the writings of Galileo and Copernicus and with some of that science fiction. Okay, so, but let's say 1616, 1620, 1630. Since from that point moving forward, you had a little bit of time travel, a little bit, but from 1900 on, 1850, 1900, just recently in the last 150 years, the focus has been on space. That's right. Been on space up until about 1969, actually. Was the last great science fiction, 2001. And my point being this, that's where the public had their interest, was space and going to the moon. And that part of things has been answered. Right? So is space still interesting? It is. But you got to throw in aliens, you got to do this, you got to, to keep it interesting. The next round of science fiction has been going on since about 1970. And that is the multiverse. Parallel worlds, other dimensions. And it is unexplored and it's unproven at this point. And that causes imaginations to go. Now, which brings me back to, and you can throw time travel in there too as well. And that takes me to everything, everywhere, all at once. There's a reason the way my mind works. And so when I go and watch like the greatest multiverse movie ever made, the best talents and the best writing are going to be thrown at, the next great version of science fiction, which right now it's the multiverse. And that it applies to any, I don't care if it's Avengers and Marvel or DC Comics, Star Trek, anything that you can point at, Outer Range, and I could keep going. Night Sky. These are multiverse presentations, and Everything Everywhere All at Once is that exploration into the multiverse and what it could mean. Now, is strong science applied in Everything Everywhere All at Once? To a point. It's not Interstellar, where you had Kip Thorne coming in and dealing with time travel and black holes and event horizons. No, it's wormholes. Everything Everywhere All at Once is an entertainment movie. But man, and if this is where science fiction is going, the standard, the bar has been raised. It is an excellent film. And this is where science fiction is going. I think you can expect more and more of the multiverse. Now, is this a sign of things to come? Just like science fiction in space and how we were going to get to the moon and eventually Mars, right? Over and over again, written and depicted on the screen, is the multiverse next? I want you to think about that. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight on this program, I can't believe it. Finally, Rob Gauthier is here. It is the channel conversation. Tomorrow night, our Disclosure Fest annual special event. Adrian Valera, the promoter and producer of the event, is with us, and I've got 4 or 5 other very special guests that are going to be joining us tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Scott Creighton joins us live from the UK. Going to talk about his new book, The Great Pyramid Void Enigma. That's Wednesday night. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back after this short break with our guest, Rob Gauthier. Stay right there.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh-smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
Do you have an interest in the paranormal? Then you'll love the UnXNetwork.com. The X is your streaming audio and video for everything supernatural, strange, and mysterious, like UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, and so much more. From hosts like Jimmy Church, Whitley Strieber, Micah Hanks, and Christina Gomez. Visit the UnXNetwork.com show page for a complete list of all the paranormal programs you'll find on the X. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for updates at KUNXDB. Follow our Facebook group, UnX Network. Find the podcast on Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and Apple Podcast. It's time.
It's new.
It's the X.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Manson. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It smells like cool rain in here. My Thunderstorm. Go. Click on the link below. Head over to thunderstormdeals.com. That's all you got to do. 3-pack right now. I've got 3. I want more. Get your whole house covered. Thunderstorm. It's incredible. Tonight, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer, is with us for the first time. Tonight is the channel discussion. He's one of the best on the planet, and this is one of my favorite things to talk about, seriously. For more than a decade, he has helped thousands of individuals receive clarity on their contact with extraterrestrials and extra dimensional beings. Rob primarily works with 3 main guides, Aridif, Treb Bor Yit-Ne, and Metatron, but has channeled thousands of ET consciousnesses. Rob is also an in-demand speaker and teacher, has been featured in many documentaries over on Gaia TV, internet shows, interviews, and featured in books for his unique channeling abilities. His goal is to connect with others and how to connect with their own guides and inner knowing. And I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Rob Gauthier. Rob, incredible to finally have you here, my man. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. I appreciate it. It's really great to be here tonight.
Yeah, finally, right? We'll get back to all of that. But Rob, you get the first time guest disclaimer. All right. Now, we waited 3 years for this show. The next time you're on, which will be in a couple of weeks, right? You're not going to get the first time guest disclaimer, but you're going to get it tonight, which is this, Rob. It's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends. And where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're going to end as friends. There you go. You ready?
I'm ready. I love the disclaimer too.
Yeah, it's that started probably 8 years ago, and I was just kind of goofing around with it one night, and then a week later I had a first time guest, and suddenly Twitter's lighting up. Where's the disclaimer? So that was it, and this is like fate or not driven, right? So if I miss, I will get grief. I will get email. And so there you go. It's a tradition. And now it's a lot of fun. And it's word for word. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all over the years. So welcome to the show. And one of the things that I'm going to say to you now for the audience is that this is an open conversation, and Rob and I have not discussed anything that we're going to talk about on the show tonight. There's no prepared questions. There never are. I enjoy my guests, and I know the subject. Tonight is going to be one of those conversations for me, Rob, and I'm very, very excited about this. And I almost don't know where to start. And at this point in the conversation, I'll throw the softballs out. What was it like growing up? And so we're going to circle back to that. But I'm very interested in Jane Roberts. Did you know who she was before you knew you had these abilities?
I did not hear about Jane Roberts till after I met the first being that I started channeling, Treb. And after I kind of connected with him and went through the whole process of doing that, I bumped into a video that mentioned it. And it mentioned it in jest as a secondary note to the Law of One material. But for whatever reason, I didn't connect with the Law of One material. I went over to that Jane Roberts to check it out to see if what was coming through or what I was connecting to had any sort of similarities with other known works out there. So I went and checked it out, and Jane Roberts to this day is my favorite channeler, probably the most clear channeler, the most beautifully expressed material. And it's something that me and a lot of other channelers that I've met have in common, is that Jane Roberts is really something there. So even though it didn't motivate my channeling or didn't kind of give me excitement to follow channeling, I quite accidentally bumped into channeling, if we're being honest. But after I found it, it was a main source of checking everything that I was doing. Like every time I channeled something new, I would look into the Roberts material and I would say, is this something that was said before? Is this something that's similar to what was said before? So it was very prominent, especially in my early years. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny about that, and I only ask because your answer, you're not unique in expressing that. You're not, in that people that have the gift find out about the gift on their own and then go and do what's going on, right? And then get exposed to things. And yeah, you're not unique. It's because the gift finds you, and then suddenly you're forced into this paradigm shift where you've got to go and try to find out what's going on, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately for me, when I first started, when I first connected with my guide Treb, it was around 2008. So literally, there's nothing online that I could find about channeling itself besides Jane Roberts, besides Daryl Anka. He had a few videos, Lee Carroll with Cryon, and there were some other channelers out there, but those were the only ones I could find when I was looking. And then they had some written material, so it wasn't really prevalent or a relevant thing in that community at all. So I really had to dig just to find what I found,
Yeah. No, it's an incredible journey, and not that I'm going to spend a whole lot of time on Jane Roberts, but she really, when there's such limited material, the books are there, but I'm talking about video and interviews and things. There's stuff there. When you hear her speak in her natural, when she's being Jane, right? Totally different, right? That's weird. And then when she is channeling her, who she is different. And that's the same thing with all channelers, but with Jane, you see this shift happen. And you read the books, and then you listen to Jane talk. She was just such a normal Well, I just said the wrong thing. What is normal? But you know what I'm saying, right? She's just like the lady next door, and then the complexity of Seth Speaks and what she was bringing to the world. It was just astounding to see that come from her when you didn't expect it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. She had some of the most complex, comprehensive, well put together, well packaged material out there. I mean, you can go through any subject and look it up. I know her husband Robert Butts had a lot to do with that, the organization of it. But it was incredibly intense, and to watch videos of her channeling, because I'd only heard excerpts or heard audio of it. And when I first saw the video, it was actually quite jarring to me because it wasn't just the shift. Like, you hear people's voices shift, the body momentum moves a little differently. Now that I understand channeling and you watch channelers, and even some now with conscious channeling, it's less of that. But the older channelers, especially the ones who go in trance or semi-trance, there's a big difference there. But with her, even the facial muscles were contorted and changed. It was like the strength of this entity that was coming through is so prevalent and so strong. It was unbelievable. And the words were secondary to me when I first saw it, even because I kind of knew the words already by reading some of it. But the actual change in the personality, the voice, all of it was quite jarring, to be honest. At first, it was a little freaked me out. So.
I wanted to save this till after the break, but you bring up a really good point. And I don't know if you know this, but the audience certainly does. I've had the opportunity for 3 or 4 years now to introduce Daryl Lenka at different conferences. And what is great about that, and I have a very unique opportunity here to share this with everybody, in that I'm backstage with Daryl. We're hanging out. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to be out front introducing him, and he's coming out. So I have been around him when he does his thing. And his thing, 1 minute. 1 minute. And I'm not going to speak for Daryl, but or give away any secrets or anything like that. But I've certainly talked about this before, and I've talked about it with him on the air. And that is this: we're back there talking about food and fun, right? And then I look and I go, okay, man, we're a minute out. Okay, let's go. You ready? I'm ready. Go. And that's it. And so while I'm out doing the introduction, he gets into the zone, and it's incredible. So now I'm with him backstage, and now I get to ask the first question, for Bashar. 2 different people, man. 2 different people. I have the unique up close and personal experience with this, and it's extraordinary to witness.
Yeah, Daryl's one of the truly greats of the greats out there. He paved the road for younger generation channelers like myself, who came in, 20, 30 years after he had been doing it for so long, and made it acceptable by some percentage, even though more accepted now than it was back then. But we had that same opportunity to see him in our 2017. Me and my wife put together these events, the channel panel, where we get a bunch of channelers, and he came to that one. So I got to spend some time with him before, with him and his wife, Erica, and to see the transformation. We had some lunch together, and that was the first time I got to talk to him personally, face to face. I'd emailed and talked to him, for a few years before that, but actually up close and personal, and it's a drastic difference. And
drastic. And you know what? Dare I say, fun. It's fun to witness, man. It's like, whoa. One time, okay, so I did this thing, and I was kind of clowning a little bit, and it was a big crowd, and I asked the question that I asked, a couple of hours later, after everything, Daryl and I are having dinner, and I go, "So, was that cool or what?" He goes, "Man, come on, Jimmy, man, I don't remember anything." And then he says, "Was Bashar cool?" You don't even, do you remember my question? I don't. Was it a good one? I go, oh man. And that's how legit it is, and if he's going to tell me that privately, right? He doesn't know. He doesn't remember. He was asking me if it was good. It was Bashar's answer cool. So I wanted to ask you, of course, about your childhood. Did you have any accidentals growing up where there was a hint of something?
There was a little bit. I had a couple times where I was really young and I would see these people in my bedroom. And the first time it was a grandmother of mine who had passed on before. And when I asked my mom about it the next day, she's like, oh, no. It was a dream. It had to be a dream. So these little things that I now can look back at and say, this was something that was part of my experience. Back then, I had to dismiss it. There was a lot of Christianity in my family, very heavy Christianity. So anything beyond what was in that book was kind of outlawed. We didn't talk about it. We didn't communicate about it. When it's brought up, it's shut down immediately. My dad would talk about it with me outside of the family preview, but I would end up speaking about it with my mom and just shut it down. So I didn't get any good answers from my mom. And I always assumed, well, it's probably just a dream. But after I got channeling and asked Treb, he said, yeah, a lot of those experiences you were having were real. And some of them, even when you were sleeping and having dreams, were also real. So there was some of that. And I think, like most people, I don't think psychic ability is actually special to anyone. I think you can develop it. You can develop to learn how to do all of these things if you really put your energy to it. But I think most people shut it down immediately because there's that societal thing where it's like, hey, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no such thing. If you die, the atheists say you go in the ground, and all the different religions have their own thing of where you're going. But no, they cannot be here. They cannot talk to you. ETs, no, they don't exist. So it's pretty much shut down before you ever get a chance to open it. And a lot of people I met who do channel and have channeled at a decently young age were raised with parents who were very open to this stuff, who came from the New Age metaphysical community. So it really is a difference in the mainstream version of society, especially with Christianity or some form of religious energy behind the family compared.
Now, what about your family today? Are they cool with it?
Yes, I did not think they would be. They didn't find out for the first. I started doing it in 2010. They didn't know until 2013, 2014. I was going through a divorce process with my son's mom, and because of all the needs that he has, the court ordered that whatever parent was spending time with them would do it in the marital home. So for the 3 days that I wasn't with my son, I was with my mom and dad. And by then I was already doing it professionally. So I was like, I need to borrow the computer room. I need quiet, I need no interruptions. And then I had to have the talk with them. And they were amazingly cool about it. A little shocked, but like, okay. And then they would hear me channeling Treb. And Treb's a very charismatic entity, and he's very jovial and very, a lot of people say he's like a Pollyanna, and they hear that. And they were just so happy that I was doing something with myself that was good. I had a real rough path before I started that spiritual part of my journey. And they saw that what I was doing, I liked, I was good at, and that other people liked that I was doing it. So they were good. And by then they had been away from going to church every month or every week. And they weren't really really involved with it like they used to be. So I think a combination of all those things, to my surprise, they were all right with it. So
did they come to you now and, hey, Rob, Can I ask Metatron a question? You know, is it like that, or
It's none of my family has gotten there yet. My dad passed in 2015, which kind of sucked. I was always hoping I would be able to take him to the event, because the first big event we did that was really big and really successful was in 2015, and then the one with Daryl there in 2017. His excitement was the professional part. How well are you doing? Can you provide for your family? Because that's the generation he came from. So that was his excitement about it. The only person who's really been open to that part of it, that would be willing to ask a question, is my younger sister, Mary, who helps us with my son and who helps us with the business part of the ET Whisperer. And she's shown a lot of interest. Everyone else just kind of, it's weird, but it's okay. We love you. You know, our family's pretty close that way. And like I said, compared to my life I was living before I started that journey, they're just happy to see me in a good place. So
yeah, my family's the same way. So if I'm going to reassure you in one thing, they're supportive. They know what I do. They don't give a crap, right? They don't ask any questions. You know, honey, the UFO thing is fine. You know, whatever. I mean, but you know, it's just they're okay if you're okay, right? And and I think that's what's most important. But yeah, my family, no. We don't sit around at Thanksgiving and talk. So Jimmy, man, let's talk about UAPs. What's the latest? No, it's not like that at all. So what about UFOs though? Because with your channeling, you know, focused, you know, in the areas that it is, did you have an interest in UFOs? If you had a religious family, maybe not them, I mean. Probably not. I don't know. But did you have an interest? Did you have any idea what was going on?
I did. You know, like I was born in 1980s, so I grew up with like Unexplained Mysteries and all those really cool shows that kind of took a serious approach to these topics. So I did. And my friend, growing up, my best friend, who we've been together since 4 years old, I pretty much lived at his house and he lived at mine. You know, when we were young, going to school and stuff. He had a very surreal experience when he was younger, and it got him into the topic big time. So I would watch these documentaries he's watching about Bigfoot, because that's what he saw up in Michigan. He saw a Bigfoot going through the area by the woods by his house. He lived way out in the middle of nowhere. So that really got us going down the road of that topic. Up until probably 11, 12 years old, I really didn't have any personal experience besides seeing a few footprints in the back of the snow, back in the woods where we had seen this thing, or where he had seen this thing. But my personal experience was when I had seen a UFO. I was with a bunch of friends and we were smoking weed and getting high and driving around. And we saw this really close, to this day, the best UFO sighting I've seen. And after that, I saw several different UFOs, most of them at a distance, most of them doing weird movements in the sky. To the untrained eye, it could be, you know, hey, that's a satellite. But when they're making those zigzag movements, then you know it's not a satellite. So for the most of the part, up until that time, I really didn't. I had an excitement about learning about it. And this was what got me in trouble with our church a lot. I would ask them questions about this and about contradictions that I saw in the Bible or whatever, and they would shut it down, you know, well, because God said so or Jesus said so. So the lack of real answers or real sustenance answers, I just ended up digging further on my own. And because I grew up in that sweet spot of time where all these shows were just starting to come on, it gave me an opportunity to learn more about it. So yeah, I always had a draw towards that. And more so, I would say, when I was about 6 or 7, my dad bought a telescope and he took us all out in the backyard and showed us Saturn, and showed us Jupiter. So from the earliest time I can remember, I always loved the idea of outer space, planets and all that stuff. And I felt really drawn to it. Like the first exposure I had, it was just an obsession. It was like a love to go out and look at the stars every night, to learn as much as I could about our solar system, NASA, and the space programs, and anything that they were letting people be exposed to in the 80s without a tremendous amount of ridicule or censorship. I was diving into it.
Yeah, my favorite thing, I love my friends that are religious. I respect that a lot, and which is cool. But my favorite thing, though, aren't angels technically aliens? Isn't heaven just space? If that's the case, aren't angels just ET? Just by a different name. I just love to. It's not really stoking the fire, but make people think, right? Yeah. And you can't, if you're going to have that in the Bible like you do, then you can't be shut down with ETs or something that would be that extraordinary. You can't, because it's one and the same thing. And when I get religion on this show, it's always I dovetail it, right into ET. The heavens. What are the heavens? The heavens is space, right?
Right. It's up there.
Yeah, right. It's a good turnaround, and it's fun to watch people's faces. It's great to finally have you on the show. When we come back, Rob, if you don't mind, I'm going to see if I can learn how to channel. I'm going to sit and ask you the questions. And I hope that this audience will be taking notes tonight, because hopefully I'll get the answers that I seek. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back after this short break. I want to remind everybody what's going on. Tomorrow night is our Disclosure Fest annual special event. And then Wednesday night, Scott Creighton, live from the United Kingdom. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, VX.
2022 MUFON Symposium is in Denver, Colorado, July 7th through 10th, and it's on. If you can't make it to Denver, get the live stream. You can watch it live and anytime later. This year's theme is UFOs in the Spotlight. Our speaker lineup is incredible. Join Cheryl Jones, Peter Robbins, Michael Schratt, Kathleen Martin, Tom Reed, Paul Hynek, Peter Davenport, Dave Scott, Craig Campabasso, Donald Schmidt, Mark D'Antonio, and me, Ron James, for an exciting inside look at my new film. Newsflash, Congressman Tim Burchett has just confirmed that he will be making an exclusive live presentation at MUFON 2022. Tim is the most outspoken member of Congress on the UAP topic. You do not want to miss what he has to say. Sign up for our live stream. Get all 3 days of the MUFON Symposium, a 1-year subscription to MUFON TV, and an awesome free gift. What's the free gift? Find out at MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. That's MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. You do not want to miss a thing.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here, and I know what you're thinking. Lately, Jimmy sounds so fresh. He's so alert. He's so now. Well, that's because of biotech research and their new supplement, BrainPEAK 9. BrainPEAK 9 contains 9 nutrients that may help support brain function of memory, concentration, recall, and improve focus. Other memory supplements can cost as much as $129 for a 60-day supply. But right now, for a limited time, if you use the discount code FADER, that's right, FADER, just for the Fadernauts, you'll get a 60-day supply for just $49. There's no better time than right now to see what others have been raving about. Help improve your brain function. Go to brainpeak9.com and enter the discount code FADER. That's right, for the Fadernauts. That's BrainPEAK9.com. Discount code Fader, and the links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click on it now. Seriously.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can right now get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein the Ancient Crystal Skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers, and you're listening to Jimmy Church, The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Jimmy's so fresh. Jimmy's so now. BrainPEAK. BrainPEAK 9. Incredible. I've been taking BrainPEAK now for 2 weeks. And it's absolutely incredible. Promo code Fader. And yeah, I know you guys have noticed. The secret is out. It's BrainPEAK. Click on the link below over at JimmyChurchRadio.com, promo code Fader, and head straight over. It's absolutely incredible. Our guest tonight, Rob Gauthier. And Rob, before we do the deep dive, and this is going to be a great conversation, but lately, well, certainly the last 4 years, but the heat has been turned up over the last 12 months since the release of the UAP Task Force report that came out last year. We had UFO hearings last week. Everybody's talking about it. It's the media, it's science, it's universities, it's NASA, it's the Department of Defense, it's now Capitol Hill. It's shows like this. What are you hearing? What's the information? Is there something about to happen?
From Treb and Ardiff are the beings I channel the most. They're the ones most accessible to me and the most I connect with. And what they've shared with me about it has just been that this is a part of the energy of getting to understand ourselves as a human race better. But Treb and Art both have been talking about, 2021, 2022 for a long time. They've been talking about that back since I first started channeling around 2010, how it was a year that ends one cycle and starts another cycle. And that's why a lot of people, 2012 was such a big deal. That was like the center of the cycle with 9 years in front of it, 9 years behind. And it's just a process. We all have to grow up, and our soul has an evolution itself. And that evolution is a part of every soul's journey. When you go into a life and you incarnate, you do it a lot of times. You do it from the same planet as the same race. And you do that to go through the possible spectrum experiences that are there and that are available. And when you do that, you're having the experience. And right now, this is the experience all of us wanted to be a part of, the shift of knowing ourselves better. And we can't address ourselves when we don't address the things we're seeing in society. That's why all the fuss has been around for the last 3 years, 4 years, very strongly. People very divided, very divisive, arguing, fighting with one another. It's all because they needed to see what's inside of themselves. You've seen a lot of people react to all the things that have been going around, politics, pandemics, wars, and you see them behaving in a way that you might not have thought or believed that they would just a handful of years before. You see a lot of people who are very peaceful, don't like war, things like that. Now they're like, go to war, we got to go to war. Or a million other examples, as I'm sure your imagination could take you through it all. But honestly, it's just a part of being a human and being through a part of evolution that we need to. We can't become a galactic race. We can't go outside of Earth and go spending our time amongst the stars with all these other entities unless we figure our stuff out. And by figuring out all of the stuff, we have to see what's broken. We have to see what we've been doing for hundreds, thousands of years that isn't working. We have to fix it. And it's kind of like a self journey first, and then seeing your part in your community and then your part in the collective. So it has a lot of very spiritual aspects behind it, even though it comes through in a very earthly way. And that's kind of the whole reason all of this craziness has been going on for the last few years. It's the time to end that cycle and start finding new ways. And this is really it, like 2022 or 2021 at the end of the year going into 2022. That was the end of the cycle. That was the finish of all the old stuff. And what we're doing now is diving into the new stuff. And the new stuff coincides with the old stuff, but the old stuff was being lied to, being manipulated, not being shown what's going on in those fields of government, UFO community, contact, school systems, medical system, all these things that we've just said, well, this isn't ideal, but it's good enough. You got to move past that. We got to find something that works for everybody, or at least personally find something that works for yourself. And this is just the hallmark of that beginning port of the energy coming in for ourselves to learn about what's going on with UFOs, with other races, with contact. Is something big coming? It could be. And Treb and Ardiff have said this a lot of times. When the cycle starts and the other one ends, it depends on us as a collective race of what we're doing, of how we handle things, of how we deal with each other when we're handling things. Like right now, you have two people with different ideas. They are fighting, they're denouncing friendships, they're not communicating with each other. Well, that's not usually the ideal way to find a way to come together. So these things that divide people are going to continue inflaming until that divide gets to a point where it's recognized that it's either a bad reason to fight with one another, or that there are more things behind the scenes that we're not seeing. And, as many people in our community that boo-hoo the disclosure and say, oh, it's just the government and they're going to lie to us anyway, even though I know that a lot of the things they're talking about, our community's already known for decades. It's still wonderful to see people who didn't even believe possibility that ETs exist now saying, there's something here, we need to take it seriously. So I think that's mostly kind of what I've been getting from the Being's Eye channel.
Well, and that's great, right? But here's the flip side of that. Everybody's going to agree with what you just said, right? They're going to say, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. But when is ET arriving, right? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. We'll get there. We got to get to the edge of the cliff, take a peek, take it as far as we can, the insanity, and then we'll grow. But when is ET going to get here? And that's the question. And I just need to ask directly, is the government, do you feel that the government knows that something's about to break, and that's why they are discussing this right now, because it's going to be something out of their control?
Yeah, I feel in my own intuition, I definitely feel that that's the most probable case. The problem when I talk to Treb and Ardiff, they're considered type 1 beings, and type 1s are the best way to describe non-interference. So they can speak to you, they can answer questions, but they can't tell you something that's going to break anything inside of what you're doing and what you're processing, especially on a collective level. So what they've told me is, yeah, there are probabilities that the beings who have been trying to make contact are not going to do a gentle approach, and that they're going to come through and communicate. And if that happens, the government can't really do anything about it anyway. Obviously their technology is not enough to stop. So yeah, that is a possibility. And again, my guides usually speak on a soul level compared to a physical level, even though all those things tie together and are directly meaningful. They would say, as a collective, when we're ready to have ET contact us, that's when it will happen. And I think that's what this part is about, is getting more people ready for it. The ETs have been here. They've been here for a long time. We were talking about Christianities and kind of joking about, the angels in the heavens. Yet you go to India and they don't have that conversation because they already know what's going on. The Vimanas are UFOs. The gods were ETs. They're already aware of this. So a big chunk of the population is already extremely open to it and very knowledgeable. The rest of the world's catching up. And I think that's going to be the part that's the catalyst that helps energetically open up. But physically, it could be a lot of different things. Some ETs that humans might consider more malevolent or not very nice, they've kind of been breaking the rules anyway. They come to Earth when they want. They do whatever they want. They're in and out, maybe even communicating with governments or any of those things that are possible. But the ones who care about us and care about our development and care about us being rushed into something or overwhelmed with something, they're going to read the room. And when they read the room and see that it's clear and good, that everyone not going to have too big of a freak out, or it's not going to psychologically damage billions of people, then they'll step in. And I think it goes in that stages. And Treb and Ardiff have always talked about stages with dealing with contact. It always goes with mass sightings, then a larger conversation in the collective, and then more close sightings and more frequent sightings, and then the government either comes in and says, yes, this is what's going on, this is what's been going on, or the ETs do it themselves. So I think it is. I think in our lifetime, we're going to see it.
Have you, now, would Treb Bor be offended if I just shortened it to Treb?
I do too. That's a mouthful.
Right. Okay. So yeah. Have you asked Treb, maybe later I can, but have you asked Treb about the Tic Tac?
Yeah, Treb and Ardiff both have shared a lot about that. There's a couple different things that happen, like the Tic Tac things that we're seeing. Some of those are unmanned by those races that have been monitoring, watching us, the same beings that go around deactivating nuclear warheads, the same race that have been flying over forever in different kinds of ships. Like the triangular ships, but not the TRB3 types of ships.
Right.
these are usually the gray beings or the gray hybrid beings, which is something that Daryl, when he channels, he connects with that vein of beings and that work to exclusively communicate with humans. And a lot of the Tic Tacs are unmanned versions of that. There is another one that looks very similar from the ground if we're looking up. That's also a conscious-driven technology. Instead of unmanned, just simple technology, it's a consciousness-based, where they have beings who are connecting telepathically with it and going through to get more people exposed to seeing things in the sky and get the eyes looking upward.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think we forget that Daryl's first contact was with a triangle ship.
Yeah,
that's right. Now, what about where they are from? Before you answer, let me ask you the question this way. We now know, and this is science fact now, not science fiction, that every star's got a planet, right? And so just in our Milky Way, I'm not talking about the universe, just in our Milky Way, where we've got upwards to 1 trillion stars, which means at least 1 trillion planets. And the numbers that are thrown around now is somewhere north of 40 billion Earth-like planets, rocky planets with water in the Goldilocks zone, just in our Milky Way. Now, that would suggest, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of advanced civilizations spread throughout the Milky Way. So that's why I asked the question this way. Where are they from? Are they from inside of our galaxy, or are they from somewhere else?
Most of the beings that we make contact with are definitely homebound. This is where they grew up. This is where they evolved. This is where their evolution came from. There are a couple exceptions. Andromedan beings do have direct lineage to the Andromeda galaxy, but most of them stay here. Something Treb told me a long time ago. Actually, Ardiff is the first one who brought it to my attention, how consciousness works with evolution. A lot of people see it as two different things. But most beings who are highly evolved don't even need to leave their galaxy, because there are tens of millions of evolved beings who are at a level of consciousness that's considered third density or higher. And what that means is the human level all the way to the higher dimensional, but still holding a physical form, even though it's not physical in our dimension. They still have a body, they live, they incarnate, etc. So tens of millions of races, all of them coming from here. But something that goes a little deeper that I don't think a lot of people consider too. We have a lot of races that deal with humans exclusively. Like almost all of the experiences that they have are contact with humans. These are Pleiadian beings. These are reptilian beings. These are Arcturian beings, Sirian beings, multiple Pleiadians. There's tens of thousands of types of Pleiadian beings. The area that we call Pleiades. So we have all of these different races that are connecting with us, but the humanoids tend to be, in my opinion, future versions of humans. And Treb and Ardiff have shared that some of these humanoid races that come from there are actually future versions, and they don't have to time travel because consciousness works at a different level in higher dimensions. When you're looking at that level of understanding, where your consciousness is 10 times bigger than human consciousness, and psychic intuition is something that you're born with. Telepathy is something that you don't have to learn how to do. It's just implemented to your body form. Then they don't have to experience time linearly. In fact, the dimensional shift itself is outside of linear time. This is what makes third density the only density that experiences linear time in a perceived way, even though first and second density also experience it very different in the moment. For the second density, and the first is just an experience of existence, period. So this fourth, fifth, and sixth density consciousness, when they think a thought, let's say they're future humans, and they say, I really wonder what it would be like to be on Earth back in the 1940s during World War II. the thought alone can shift them into that time. So they don't need time traveling machines, even though a lot of them use consciousness enhanced technology to go through dimensions and time. Some of them are highly evolved enough to just think the thought and go there. So I think a lot of those Pleiadians that look very human and a lot of the Arcturians that look mostly human, I think that they're actually just versions of humans who have gone through the entire cycle of evolution through fourth density and fifth and sixth. And then they come back to change the things they can on Earth so that they can experience something new too. Because even though they're much more evolved than us, they still have an evolution of their own. And what better way to evolve than to shift your own reality moment to moment by shifting another? So I think that's what we deal with a lot of contact, especially the dream state and psychic contact.
Now, if, we hear so much talk about third, fourth, fifth, sixth density beings. And if we are dealing with, and we are, contact with these advanced civilizations, some of them, a billion more years advanced than ours, let alone 10,000 years. Does that make us a negative density? And I don't say it in a cavalier way, but we barely left this planet, right?
Yeah.
We're not interstellar yet. Our probes are interstellar, but us compared to them, all we've done is gone down to the end of the driveway and checked the mailbox, right?
Right. And this is the fun about our community. We have lots of words that lay over multiple meanings. When they use the terms density, they're subscribing that energy to a specific evolution of a soul. Now the soul has trillions and trillions of lifetimes. The first density being the elemental things like water, electricity, rock, fire. Second density are the single-celled life, something that humans would consider living, but not complex or evolved enough as a human. So trees, dogs, bacteria, all of that second density. And then third density being human. And then you've got fourth, fifth, and sixth density. Each of those densities have a theme for the soul to play with, to experience. Because on a soul level, everything that Treb and Ardiff have taught me, you don't come in to have bad things or good things. You come in for experience. A lot of people talk about the worst figures in our history. And on a soul level, what they did wasn't necessarily a wrong thing. It was something that was needed so that all the other people who interacted with them could also experience. That's not to break away from looking at your own ethics and your own beliefs, but on a soul level, it's not seen so personally. But when we get in the physical bodies, it's very personal to us. We're here, we're living, we're experiencing. So the third density being part of human is the track through evolution of consciousness, from going from an instinctive being like an animal who simply lives in the moment, who retains memory through their physical body, whether it's trauma or reward. And then the human part transmutes that into experiencing time through thought and memory through thoughts, and feeling linear time, but also an exploration of the self in your environment. And the fourth density is kind of the shift energy that humans go to now. And that's the exploration of your connections. That's why we've seen so many craziness in the world right now, because people have to realize how to connect with themselves and each other. And that's kind of part of that evolution. So in those density terms, it's more about the evolution of the soul than it is dimensionally, or you hear terms like type 1 societies or type 2 on the Kardashev scale. And those tend to be more so how adapted they are and how technologically advanced they are. So the fun with our community is having all these terms and each person using them in a drastically different way.
Sure. There are dogs right now listening to this show going, Rob thinks we're second density.
Yeah.
We're 10th density. You don't see us losing our minds right now.
Yeah.
We're cool. But yeah, and I think that there are many out there in our community that have been committed. They're here for their own personal reasons and journey, but they're also getting a little bit exhausted. They want this advancement, they want this progress, and they do want people to wake up and understand that borders are just, fake lines in the sand, and that we are all the same. We're just earthlings. And I share that frustration with them. Do you get that a lot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel the same way. The information that Treb and Ardiff give is very intensive. It's very prolific, but it also doesn't hold a standard to the human experience very often. So Ardiff and Treb say a lot of beautiful things and a lot of great things that kind of help us have inner realizations, but also sometimes when I hear something that they say, I'm like, come on, man. And Ardiff even referenced at one time when he was sharing something, he said, I know a lot of you are thinking, why don't you get your alien ass down here and do this before you tell us about it? So I think even they understand, but they're from their own perspective, they're here to share information for people who are ready for it, who want to use it in whatever way suits them best. But it doesn't reflect the experience we're having on Earth, and it never will, no matter how good they understand that or how badly they understand that. So I'm right there. I'm in the same level of frustration. I look at people and saying, are we still willing to kill each other over ancient books and oil and politics? So yeah, it's frustrating. I don't think that's something, because it's been so ingrained in us for our whole civilization, and because there are people who continuously provoke more and more of the division and more of the fighting. I don't think it's going to happen overnight like a lot of us wanted to. A lot of terms of ascension and this is spoken about a lot in our community. But a lot of people think you're going to wake up one day and be able to fly and use telepathy and the ETs will be here. But that's not what ascension is. Ascension is a growth to being a person internally, being able to experience. And I think you can relate to this too. When you're going down the street, taking a walk, and you make that walk every day, the days where you're feeling good and positive and happy, you're going to have a new experience compared to if you're grumpy and angry every other time you walk it, and vice versa. It's the way we see and the way we perceive that really shifts that part for us. And if all of us can accept where we're at and understand that Earth isn't perfect and we're still going through a lot of dumb things we don't need to, but be there for each other and try to find a way to support each other, then a lot of the people-led experiences would be less contentious. And then people would start organizing enough to point their anger at the people who deserve it, the people who are manipulating the emotions of many to try to get us to fight with each other. I can't remember where I heard it, but someone said, if you're fighting with each other over whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, if you're fighting over each other whether you should wear a mask or not, then you're not going to ask the people in charge of making your lives better and doing the right thing to do the right thing and make your lives better. You're just going to keep fighting with each other. So I think it's very intentional.
Yeah, for no reason. For absolutely no reason. What a fascinating conversation. Stay right there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Rob Gauthier. It's about time. 3 years we've been putting this show together. 3 years. It's happening tonight. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
¿Qué tal mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and this year, June 18th, 2022, the Disclosure Fest Foundation presents the Mass Meditation Initiative. It's Saturday, June 18th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., one day only at the Los Angeles State Historic Park in downtown Los Angeles, California, right next to Chinatown. I'm hosting the event again this year with music performances by Trevor Hall, The Desert Dwellers, Poran Key, and many, many more on 4 separate stages. There's 16 stages in total, over 30 acres in downtown Los Angeles, with vendors and tents and presentations and workshops with Billy Carson, Adam Apollo, Lori Spagna, Laura Eisenhower, Brad Olson, David Palmer, and many, many more. It's all simple to do. Just go to disclosurefest.org for all of your tickets, information, and the full schedule of the day's events. Again, disclosurefest.org. Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Rob Gauthier. I want to remind everybody, just for the Fadernauts, the MUFON Symposium is coming up next month in Denver. And just for the Fadernauts, we've got a special going for the live streaming. Click on the link below, and you're going to get a really cool special gift just because you're a Fadernaut, and go enjoy the live stream. Our guest tonight is Rob Gauthier, and the conversation has been riveting. I expected this, Rob, but I got a very direct question. One, I'm going to offend half of my audience right now. And it's this. Why is it that so many expect ET to save us. You know, I just don't get that. Why doesn't ET come and solve money and cure cancer? Show us something, ET. Why are those expectations constant?
It's something I definitely have been concerned about. I've talked about a lot in the history of me sharing publicly. It's built into us. The first time humans ever had their DNA shifted outside of the second density animal that they were, the Anunnaki shifted the genetics. And ever since then, humans have a savior complex. I mean, the DNA gets shifted enough of a human to make them subservient, but also they see these beings like gods coming down and giving them gifts of technology, making their lives extended by dozens of years, hundreds of years at one iteration of another. So it's built into us, and religion just compiles that. And then we have superhero movies that do extremely successful. And why? That's because we're trained genetically to want someone to come in and save us. Think about everything in every human's life that they have, the financial woes, marital woes, relationship with family, any of those things. They would take an offer from someone if they said, hey, I can solve this problem for you. So it's in human nature to want the easiest way, the easiest approach. But when it comes to the ET savior thing, it's really ingrained. And I think the Superman versus Batman movie, when that first came out, I like some of those types of movies, but it really showed how people treated Superman, this alien that came down with these amazing powers, and they built statues of him and called him a god. And that's really why a lot of ETs have had to cut contact with humans, because it was so ingrained. And I know I don't want to generalize, because there have been a lot of different races that have made contacts with humans, and those contacts have come in a lot of different ways. But the whole scripts of the Hindu literature talk about extraterrestrial races having wars on Earth and humans taking the side of their gods, subservient, worshiping. You can read through it and see how that plays out. But it's very common. And this is something Treb and Ardiff have talked a lot about, being a type 1. And the difference in type 1 and type 2 is extremely different. Those type 1s are non-interfering. They see each other as one. They don't see a separation of consciousness. And type 2s have a spectrum. You can be very benevolent and loving, but still be willing to step on the free will of another being, compared to the most malevolent, nasty types of beings. And even that type 1 who loves you a lot would still say, hey, I think humans are going to blow themselves up. I'm going to deactivate their nuclear weapon. It's a good thing they did, right? We appreciate that. But the type 1 beings see us as capable of creating what we need to create on a soul level, and don't play the energy of trying to divide something that they don't see as dividable. They see all people, all consciousness, all beings in the whole universe as one form of consciousness. So speaking with Ardiff and Treb give us that type 1 perspective. But I have channeled a lot of ETs that are type 2s that see these things too, and have shared their concerns. Why are you listening to beings to tell you how to live your life, or tell you what you should do to get this done, that done, and this done, instead of figuring it out yourself? Because that's where you'll truly become empowered. And that's the thing I've loved about Treb and Ardiff too. There's an old quote that Treb said when I first met him. It basically said, when you're connecting to yourself, your higher part of yourself and your heart, you'll get the right answer. And you yourself and your soul know better than any being in the universe, the longest living, wisest entity that exists. You know better for you. So it's something that I've always stuck by too. Despite what I've been told or what they say, I still, at the end of the day, have a choice. Do I resonate with that or don't I? And if I do, try it. And if it works, that's great. And if I don't resonate, then I move on to my other next step. Being human is a very unique experience. And sometimes we have to do very human things regardless of what we want. But the answer has never been ET going to save us. I think they offer very unique perspectives. They offer a very unique exchange, ways to see things differently, better. But I've never seen that as the agent of change. We have to change ourselves as a species, and then they can assist us with making better changes, because they'll see, hey, they're on the same path, they're on the same wavelength. And a lot of channelings in our community are centered in the opposite way. Hey, we're going to do the work for you. We're going to kick out the cabal. We're taking out all these bad guys for you. Don't worry, we're going to do it. And what does that create? It creates a lot of people sitting around waiting for something to be done and not doing the work on themselves.
Yeah,
and I don't think that that's very good. It's not helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. I want to talk to you about something a little more technical. I'm going to give you a scenario really quick. If you and I got on a starship, right? And we went to the closest star. We go over to Centauri, right? Okay, so we pull up to Alpha Centauri and we get a flat tire. So we need to call AAA. AAA is 4.5 light years away to Earth. So we wouldn't get a response back for 9 years. That's a long time to wait with a flat tire on the side of the road, right?
Very much.
Okay. So is channeling also a way of communication with ET races? So they're out, starships are passing each other, and they're 10 million light years apart, right? But they need to ask about the star system that they just left. You can't wait 10 million years, right, for a radio signal to come in.
No.
You're going to pass each other, right? So is the communication between them and their home planets and home star systems and other ships, is it done by channeling in real time?
Yeah, telepathy. It's a force of energy that's consciousness driven. Consciousness is only tied to the physical existence or physical experience by the body, through the DNA, through the chakra centers, whatever you want to call them, the energy points of the body. This is why, people are able to go into a dream state and have real experiences outside of Earth or on different time frames of Earth. Consciousness doesn't have the limit that the physicality of the consciousness part that we experience has. So there's a lot of energy that's based in being able to telepathy or use telepathy that would transmit those signals. Now, there are a lot of humans that theorize, I think it's superposition or
entanglement.
Entanglement, yeah. I think that's the force that humans suggest. And Treb said, yeah, of course that would work. The quantum field is how the mechanics of consciousness are more able to work in a physical structure than not. But yeah, it definitely, you don't want to wait 10 million light years to get a signal. And
no, it's got to be real time, just like you and I are talking right now.
Yeah. And even though the small delay with our technology, it's similar. And this is why I think Treb and Ardiff refer to it as intertechnology. When they talk about learning to meditate or learning to channel, they don't say, hey, your soul has to learn to do something with your body. They say it's an intertechnology because you have to develop it. The systems for it to work are already there. Everyone has feelings, the gut feelings that come true, or the premonitions or the dreams, all these things that every human has the capacity to connect in. And I think the parental form of that is probably the strongest. And the reason it's strong is because your heart's connected to your children more than anything else in the world. Sure. So right there, it gives you that quantum entanglement of the heart, for lack of better things to call it. And I think that's really the purpose there. Channeling is probably one of the hardest things to say, hey, I'm going to sit you down and show you that channeling exists by doing this. And we've had people do it. Daryl Anka did it with doing the brainwave scans, which I've tried to get. I've begged people to test me, you know, hey, put me through the scientific test to give more validity to channeling, because it has that woo factor. But I think if you look at history and oracles and beings who have foreseen and had accurate descriptions, I mean, anyone could go through Casey Edgar's material itself and show how consciousness really works with the physical and the ability to connect with that. So it's a very hard thing to explain tangibly. But I think there's so many examples out there of people's personal experiences, as well as some of the things we've had the opportunity and luck to see, like Daryl's brainwave results for his channeling and Casey Edgar, that show that telepathy is actually better than any form of technology externally that we have, especially as humans, where our technology is extremely low.
The channeling with Bashar, Daryl, and I don't want to speak for Daryl, but he certainly said this many times, that Bashar is here. His ship is in orbit on planet Earth. So that channel is direct. You know, that's a real-time channel, if you're going to call anything real-time. Where's Treb? Is Treb here, or are you channeling Treb from where he is from?
Treb is a little bit of everywhere. The interesting thing about my channeling, I haven't heard anyone else experience channeling the way I have. I'm considered like a deep trance channeler. So when I go out kind of like Daryl, even more, I'd say, because Daryl still has some remembrance of the energy. But when I'm going out, a lot of people who have astral projected and who have gone through astral projection, that's the experience I get. And I get my real time face-to-face with Treb. So our consciousnesses are linked, and we're able to connect on that level, while his consciousness and my body is able to communicate. And the same works with Ardiff, but I'm always spending my time with Treb. So the biggest,
I think I just interrupted you, Rob.
Oh, that's all right.
I apologize for that. But okay, you said that, excuse me. Oh, it just came out of nowhere. You said that Treb is everywhere, but let's say you are channeling him from his home star system, right? That's where he is. But the channel itself is in real time. You're not waiting for a response, right? And he's hearing you in real time.
Correct. Yeah. Sometimes when I meant everywhere, what I meant is sometimes when I go and like project to him while I'm channeling, sometimes he's at his home planet. Sometimes he's on a ship. Sometimes he's on the moon outside of his planet. Sometimes he's 1,000 light years in the other direction. So he literally, it's almost different every time, besides his planet being the most relevant, prevalent place that I've seen and connected with him with. But yeah, he's around pretty much everywhere. So that time and space doesn't really have that limitation with channeling, because it is as real time as you can get. Someone asks a question, the answer's right there, and then boom. It's really quick, quite instant, you know.
Now, don't laugh. This is a real question. Treb and Aridif, are they the same race of beings?
They are not. Treb is actually a benevolent humanoid reptilian hybrid. So he is very tall, very scaly, very green. A lot of people would think he's very scary. And Aridif's a small humanoid from Deneb. So instead of the Capellian reptilian, you have the Denebian, which is a very small, very blue-skinned race. There's no other entity or being that I could describe it with. I've never seen another race like Ardiff's before I've met him. But Treb, very generically reptilian, even though I see the discerning marks between him and other types of reptilians. He looks more reptilian than human, even though half of his genetics come from a Nihal race, which are actually one of those future human races I was talking about, a sect of humans that moved to Beta Leporis, which is in the Rabbit constellation.
Well, we'll circle back to that after the break. Sense of humor, Treb,
Oh, Treb comes through me very, very Pollyanna-y. He says yes a lot, and he does it very loudly and very jovial. And he has that sense of humor. Ardiff comes through like a English professor for whatever reason, and he's very direct and very to the point and very in depth with how he shares. Where Treb's more centered towards the emotional forms of sharing, I'd say. It's hard to describe. Both of them have learned to deal with human humor, and to see them and interact with that humor, it's very awkward for me, but a lot of other people think it's funny. But they've developed the understanding, and a lot of time Ardiff tells jokes, and no one knows he's telling a joke because his delivery is horrible. It's very dry, very just like the rest of the time he's talking. So,
and what about? And again, I'm so interested in this. What about music and the arts and creativity? I think a lot of us picture their existence more dry and scientific and not fun. No pictures on the walls, right? No Van Halen on the spaceship. Everything's got to be quiet. What about that? Did they evolve through a creative period just like we did?
Yeah, they did, but they also kept a lot of their historical roots, their cultural roots. Treb's race is actually fascinating because I spend most of my time with there. I connect with Ardiff in like a telepathic way, but I don't get to go to his planet and see him and spend time like I do with Treb, even if I'm channeling Ardiff. They kind of come together as like a package. Like the way I met Treb is the way Treb connects with Ardiff. It's like a higher density consciousness that he can use to have more information. So Treb's race extremely unique. They have a lot of musical energy. They love music. It's not standard music. It's more like percussions and beats and rhythms. They actually live in these very unique styles of homes. And a good thing too, for those who are really interested in that culture, I released a free PDF version of a book called Benevolent Human Reptilian Hybrids. And I did that so that people can look at Treb's whole race. Like that whole book is just about him and his race. But they even do competitive fighting styles, like an old martial arts that they adapted to a higher dimensional thing. So they're still very active in their culture, in the way that they were raised. And they were guided too by the race that genetically modified their selves. Before Treb's race existed as a third density race, it was a reptilian animal that was mixed with alternate types of humans' DNA. So very much that race, the Nihal, watched over them and taught them. They didn't do the hands-off approach. They were very directly and this hints back to the reason why a lot of people think all reptilians are evil, all reptilians are bad, because humans' experience with reptilians have been a bit rough in a lot of ways. But his race is extremely benevolent. They're type 1, so they actually see themselves as equal to us and part of us and us a part of them.
Well, see, look, I mean, a crocodile will eat you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. A cobra. I'm not, no. Understandably so. I get that. But if Treb showed up here and stepped off of his starship and revealed himself, he would scare the crap out of everybody, no matter how nice or funny he was.
Yeah, that was my experience when I first met him. I didn't just start channeling him. I knew him for 2 years before I ever channeled him or tried to channel him. And then publicly, it didn't take me long after I started practicing. But that's how I met him. I was doing these really deep hemisync gateway experience meditations. And then after I got past this certain level, they have 21 steps to get to the end of the meditation, the highest part of the meditation with binaural beats. So I'm like, what happens if you go past 21? So I tried it, and that's when I met Treb. And when I met him face to face, it was horrible. It was horrifying. The first time I met him, the worst type of fear I've ever felt was expressed to me instantly. and it lasted for almost a minute or so.
What did he? Be cool, man. It's okay. You know what? How does that happen?
See, he doesn't talk, so it's a telepathy. What actually got me to calm down, I felt that there was something that he was trying to communicate with me, but I couldn't hear it. My brain was scrambled. My heart was, even though my heart wasn't there physically, astrally it was there. I felt this gigantic sense of love, and I know it sounds corny, but I felt this overwhelming sensation of love that was coming, and I could tell it's coming from this being. We're the only two in the room, to me. And the reason it was so profound, the reason I was able to stop fearing him instantly, this sensation of love felt so strong. Like the greatest love I had in my heart at that time was my son. My best friend, my greatest accomplishment in life, the closest human to me. And it made the love that I felt for him feel small. And
wow.
Yeah, and it was, obviously it's not small. It's an expansive, huge love that I have for my son. So it felt like that, and it blanketed me. And then I was able to calm down. And our first exchange didn't last long. It was like a couple minutes. Like, hey, I'm connected to you. We're connected. If you want to communicate, we can. Just do your meditation. Be here. Because we're connected, I can share some things with you. Universe, your life, your journey, the things you're looking for aren't quite the way that you think they are. And that's what you've been looking for. That's why I'm here. We're here to look together. And then I thought I broke my brain. I thought I had a mental breakdown. I went to the ER and talked to the doctor and said, hey, I think these binaural beats broke my brain. My son's mom, my ex-wife at that time, she thought I broke my brain. So it was a pretty extensive process, but eventually I got to go back. At this time I was doing meditations like literally all day, 3 times a day.
This was 2010.
2008. Around 2008.
We're going to take a break right here, Rob, and sure. I'm gonna let everybody know we're going to continue this conversation in the process when we come back after the break. But at the bottom of the hour, I'm going to talk Rob into reaching out to Treb. Do you think we can do that, Rob?
Yeah, I think it would probably be better to do with Ardiff just because it's quicker to connect with him. It doesn't take as long to get that connection.
Well, I thought Treb would be able to tell me who was a better front man, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar. And I would get that from Treb, not from Aridif. But
Ardiff actually listens to more heavy metal, so he enjoys heavy metal more.
We'll do that all after the break. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Great conversation. Rob Gauthier is with us finally after all these years. More with Rob after this short break. I'm going to get into the process when we come back. Stay with us. This is Fade to Black.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB, the X.
2022 MUFON Symposium is in Denver, Colorado, July 7th through 10th, and it's on. If you can't make it to Denver, get the live stream. You can watch it live and anytime later. This year's theme is UFOs in the Spotlight. Our speaker lineup is incredible. Join Cheryl Jones, Peter Robbins, Michael Schratt, Kathleen Martin, Tom Reed, Paul Hynek, Peter Davenport, Dave Scott, Craig Campobasso, Donald Schmidt, Mark D'Antonio, and me, Ron James, for an exciting inside look at my new film. Newsflash, Congressman Tim Burchett has just confirmed that he will be making an exclusive live presentation at MUFON 2022. Tim is the most outspoken member of Congress on the UAP topic. You do not want to miss what he has to say. Sign up for our live stream. Get all 3 days of the MUFON Symposium, a 1-year subscription to MUFON TV, and an awesome free gift. What's the free gift? Find out at MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. That's MUFONSymposium.com/Jimmy. You do not want to miss a thing.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here. You've seen me with my Thunderstorm. Now you can purify the air in your home and get healthy, clean, fresh smelling air and eliminate odors just like I do right here in the bunker. The EdenPURE Thunderstorm uses oxy technology that naturally sends out O3 molecules into the air, which seek out odors and air pollutants in your home and destroys them. It's called a thunderstorm because it purifies the air just like after a thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 on an EdenPURE Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. With this special offer, you're getting 3 units for under $200. Seriously. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and use Fader3. Shipping is free and it's easy. Just scroll down. You'll see my name right there, Jimmy Church. Click on it and get your deal today. That's EdenPureDeals.com.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? Unex Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and this year, June 18th, 2022, the Disclosure Fest Foundation presents the Mass Meditation Initiative. It's Saturday, June 18th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., one day only at the Los Angeles State Historic Park in downtown Los Angeles, California, right next to Chinatown. I'm hosting the event again this year with music performances by Trevor Hall, The Desert Dwellers, Poran Key, and many, many more on 4 separate stages. There's 16 stages in total, over 30 acres in downtown Los Angeles, with vendors and tents and presentations and workshops with Billy Carson, Adam Apollo, Lori Spagna, Laura Eisenhower, Brad Olson, David Palmer, and many, many more. It's all simple to do. Just go to disclosurefest.org for all of your tickets, information, and a full schedule of the day's events. Again, disclosurefest.org.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony. Damn
it. This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your Jimmy Church tonight. Rob Gauthier is with us. Worth the wait. An amazing conversation. And man. All right, Rob, I'm going to go here. You mentioned free will a couple of times tonight. This is where I get confused. I'm a big fan of Rush. I've listened to that song a million times, right? Free will, and we would all like to believe that we have it. But if ET, this is where I get in this weird, I freak myself out. If ET is nonlinear, and it makes sense that they are, okay, all right, and can see and be at any point in time, right? So if they go to the future and hang out, future relative to us, I should say, then free will for us isn't free will. Our decisions are already determined. You can't change the future. or can you? And that's where I'm a little bit confused here, because if ET, right, Aridif, whatever, Treb, whoever, experiences the future hours and observes it and sees it, that means I can't change my mind. Right? Am I right? This is where I sit and I think about this stuff all the time. Right? If I get in a time machine and I go to the future and observe it, whatever it is, right? And I check out my grandkids, I can't change my mind. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Therefore, free will. Okay, so help me understand this.
I'll help confuse you a bit more. This is probably the most complex subject, and I will give it to you the way they gave it to me. Every time period is not really a time period. It's a moment of experience. Okay. So you have future. When they say, hey, people, one of people's best questions, what is my past life? What's the most recent past life? What's the most famous past life? A lot of people ask that. What past? You have probable past, just like you do probable futures. The free will consciousness part of us takes us through our experience. And one thing I think, and I actually, on my own radio show, I just talked to Darryl Anka a couple weeks ago. He was my guest, and he actually said something about this that was profound. And even though I didn't really think that way before he said it, it makes sense along with the way I was taught, by Treb and Ardiff. And what he said was the past or the experience of the future through free will is something on a soul level that you agree to go through and experience before you're ever born. So from your personal experience, you still have that free will, but you're always motivated to go towards that thing that you wanted to experience in this life. Now, the way Treb and Ardiff shared it is that you're born into a lifetime that you choose. You choose your parents, you choose what time of birth you're going to be, you choose where you want in the world to incarnate, you choose if you're a male or female, what gender, what race, everything. You choose all of that. And you choose to the parents who are most likely, the environment that's most likely, the time that's most likely to give you the experience you want. And what they say is you go into that, you have amnesia, right? Even when you're a baby, I think as children, like I alluded to earlier, I had a better connection than I did through my adult till I retaught myself how to make back that connection.
Mm-hmm.
So we come from this place of unlimited knowledge and full connection, and then we drift. Our parents' vibrations, their thoughts, their beliefs, society, the teachers you go to school with, all of this thing starts weighing down with you, putting you more into this earthly realm. And when you're in the earthly realm, you don't remember what you wanted to do. So there's a little thing that the higher self or the soul aspect of us does, and that gives you excitements, like, I don't know why I'm excited about this. I never thought to think about space or think about planets, but yeah, I study it. So that excitement is there as a reminder that if you go down this path, you'll find the reason you're here. Now, where Treb and Ardiff differ from maybe what Bashar says or what other people say, even if you live your whole life, let's say you came here to make music, to make people happy, and you come here and you play around with music, but you just never make it, right? Your decisions take you elsewhere. That life isn't a lost life because you're still getting to experience. Your free will is going to drive you in the direction. And the part of us that's most responsible for where we go in our life is the part of us that we think with, that we know with. That's the motivating driver of the vehicle of consciousness. Our lower fractal consciousness or our personality self, that's what does all the things because of our free will. We act upon things. If you would have took a left instead of a right on the road, you wouldn't have gotten to an accident, but we chose to go left there. Sometimes we're called to being turned in that way, but that maybe is because we need an experience from there to get us to the next bigger experience. Now, that's all the soul part of it, but the physical part of it, the mechanics behind that, which is something Ardiff shares really well. He explains the mechanics behind consciousness and why it does what it does. He would explain that there are infinite versions of realities at all moments, and where your free will takes you is just the most experienced personal part for yourself. All of those other experiences still play out on some level, but with less of your own consciousness involved. If anything they say is true, that means we're all creator consciousness. We all have the ability to create the things that we need to experience and want to experience through the physical vessel. Part of that is following excitements if we want to get the big payoff that we came here for, or if not, to deviate and do other things. But either way, when you get done, you have a choice every moment. And when you choose in a moment, you're going into one of the infinite probabilities of realities around you. So there's a reality here where JFK never got shot. There's realities that exist. And this is what a lot of the people who do astral projection, or who do, I forget what they call it, where they go in and look into the future, remote viewers. This is what a lot of them have experienced too, is seeing different possible timelines. And when you hear the word timeline, when you hear the Mandala effect, these are artifacts of the consciousness dividing at some point, or choosing something that normally we wouldn't have chose, or not ideally what we chose before coming. And all of these timelines get kind of divided, and some of them become more relevant in your experience, and some become less. But I think that's why people have been so connected with the Mandala effect, because the end of our cycle was going through from 2012, so that's 2003 to 2021.
Mm-hmm.
All those Mandala effects started and have just continued to grow and grow and grow. And I know part of that's people's bad memory, or remembering things incorrectly. It's hard to remember something 40 years before. But a lot of it is legitimate experience, where half the collective is feeling one way about it, and the other half remembers distinctly and drastically different things. In a collective, we kind of split the timelines, just like we see everyone splitting up about any subject you want to talk about. You will have every human available to give you the counterpoint, no matter what you say. So that's kind of the divided collective.
I'm so confused about Captain Crunch. It messes with my head. But then I think what you're suggesting is free will. We have it, but it's an illusion. Okay, for an example, my own experience, I had always had visions from when I was 5 years old about being on the radio and a talk show host. I didn't understand it, right? But my path was there. I thought I was doing all these free will, willy-nilly decisions to get here today, but this was an eventual thing. And the probability was going to play out in that direction. Math is math. The quantum level of splitting and joining and combining is inevitable throughout the universe, right? And it's going to do its thing no matter what. And you and I were going to be here no matter what decisions we made.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something that Treb and Ardiff have called kind of like a hard contract. And what that means is, before you go into your life, you say, this is something that I need to do in this life. So no matter what, my higher self will guide me there regardless. My son, he was one of those. He came in with cerebral palsy, came in not being able to talk or walk. So all the things he went through, and this was very hard for me to swallow as a pill. When I was told this by Treb initially, it was very, very shocking, and I was very angered by hearing it, that he as a soul needed that experience to be in a body at birth that was injured, that had CP, that couldn't do the things that I had always envisioned during the time his mom was pregnant with him. Mm-hmm. He's not going to go to football, he's not going to go on his first day. All those things to me was a loss. And that's kind of what struggled with my depression and drug use for almost a decade after. was really understanding when he was 2 or 3 what the depth of his problems were going to be. So it was very hard for me to hear that. And some souls do that. They come in and they say, we're going to do this in this life. And I think because you're a prolific figure in our community who brings different parts of our community together, you know, like UFO CE5 people don't always hang out with people who like channeling. Channeling people don't hang out with conspiracy. You've got all these different groups that are part of the same community, and you're the bridge. You're one of the main figures in that community that bring everybody together. So for you, it was important for you to be here doing what you're doing now. And I could say the same about myself. I could say the same about everybody to a degree. But there are some people who go through and just go against the grain of what their soul purpose was. And maybe that was a secondary soul purpose. But there's always levels. I hear people say, well, why am I here? And then I listen back to these sessions or these people tell me, and they'll say, you know, you were here to come and learn how to heal people, you know, and that came to you through college, your excitement about going into college for medicine, and then breaking away from that through your own free will. It's what got you reinvigorated about energy healing or sound healing or music therapy or whatever the case is. So there's always the possibility to come back to what your major desire was before in life, but you can also just let it go. You can, there's no difference on the soul level from obscurity to superstardom. If you wanted to come here to be, you know, a movie star and be the greatest actor and help people with whatever, you know, get rid of their problems, it's the same to the soul as if you're sitting on the couch wasting away using drugs your whole life. It's the same as if you're a hateful, mean person, because even that hateful, mean person is still giving experiences to the people who are around them that they need to motivate them. You know, anger is a hell of a motivational tool. And when we get angry, a lot of people in our community, I call it the love and light part of our community, that always want everything positive, all good all the time, but it's not how Earth works. So sometimes the anger is extremely essential. So even though we see it as a wasted life, man, this person died, an old bitter person who never did anything. That person was a catalyst for change for tens of thousands of people around.
Motivation. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Whenever I question, right, and you know, I get that question mark going, I just think about or look at or observe somebody and go, well, I know I don't want to be like that. Right. And that's my motivation. And it could, even your parents, right? They're a great motivational tool. Or a brother or a sister where, you know, your brother just makes you mad. Your dad just makes you mad. He ignored you when you were a kid. Well, you don't ignore your kids. Yeah. Right. That's the motivational tool. Absolutely. And I go into that zone all the time. One of the and this was a natural process for me, but this is something that you just mentioned, is that I had to find out how to get rid of negativity. Right? I had to figure that out on my own journey. And once I found that out, because I've always been pretty nice, you know, I can be a dick, you know, I think we all have that. Oh, yeah. But and sometimes that's fine too and fun. But how to get rid of negativity and how it physically changed me. Mentally, of course, it changes you, but it also physically changed me. And we all need to learn from that process. Being a negative, you know, a negative person doesn't benefit anybody. Well, it motivates others, but it doesn't benefit society.
Yeah, and you know, as far as that goes, you know, on a soul level, they'll see that life as a benefit to society for helping keep them motivated. So on a soul level, it's much different. Like here, if you said you have these visions of being on the radio, being a host, doing the things that you love, if you felt like no matter how you did in your life that you couldn't get that achieved, you know, you would feel robbed, you would feel horrible, you would feel as if you missed it. And on a soul level, you'd be right, because, you know, that whole reason for coming here was to do that. But yet when you transition out of the body into the next, this is the beautiful thing too. A lot of people haven't had the experience of doing this, obviously, because they haven't died from their own memory. But a lot of people that you meet that are called walk-ins, and I don't know if you know the phenomenon or not, but
I do.
Okay, so a lot of people who are walk-ins are people who needed to redo those things in their life. And when you're out of your body, again, consciousness has no limits. It's full consciousness technology, so you can do anything out of a body when you're fully out of the body and not tied to it. People go through their life and say, what if I would have changed this? And they get to play that life out, and it doesn't take them 70 years to do it. Or, why don't I jump back into my life at this time, or another person's life that is similarly set, so that I can do that? And they find a soul that's like, hey, I'm ready to die and leave. And that's the walk-in phenomenon. So there's a lot of things on a soul level that are much different than the human experience. But if we remember the simple formula, the reason I'm excited, maybe you can't pin it down about doing something. If you actually just do it, try not to make excuses for not doing it. Just try to act on it as soon as you feel the urge. Usually you will go to a place that's wide open for you in almost every way.
Yeah. Finding your bliss is a magical moment. And I think that everybody knows that secret little thing, right? But few act on it. And whether you're complacent or you're happy with your life the way it is, and you don't want to rock the boat and you don't want to start over, whatever. But if you act on your bliss, the release that you get and the internal happiness is incredible, because that little secret you've been buried inside of you, and you're afraid to talk about, whatever it is, man. I really want to make socks. Well, go make socks, man. But my friends will make fun of me. And if that's your desire, if that's your bliss, go and do it, man. And you only got one crack at this, man. You only got one crack at it. Go and find that bliss. Now, okay, I'm excited. I wanted to talk briefly. When we come back after the break, Rob is going to channel for us. What is now? I want to let everybody know. Okay, I've got Twitter, I've got the chat rooms, and everything else. I'm going to try to keep this, because we're only going to do this for one quick segment. So if you have a question, we're not going to be able to get to them all. But if you have a question, put it in caps. Okay, put it in caps in the chat room so I can see it, and put it in hashtag F2B in Twitter, and I will see it there, and we'll get a couple of questions in, because I've got a whole list of things for myself. Now, Rob, you need some time to prepare. How do you do this? And also, once you get into, you do your thing, do you go, yo, Treb, right? what happens?
So when I'm going through my channeling state, like to prepare for it, I'm literally just doing a breathing and visualization exercise that helps ground me so that I feel as neutral as possible, because that's when the best channeling happens, when I'm not polarized in excitement or negativity. So I get as neutral as I can, and I'm humming and singing along with songs. That's why I never do it on camera, because I am horrible and it sounds terrible. And it gets me in that energy. So I do that sometimes, between 7 and 12 minutes. And then by the time I feel really neutral, then I get ready. And when I do, it's an intention that during my breathing, because when I first start connecting, I'm doing the breathing, and you've seen Daryl do it. Mine's longer, and there's oming sounds that accompany that. So when I'm doing that, I'm breathing and oming, and while I'm doing that, I'm visualizing my energy centers or chakras going up, and I get them all the way from the bottom to the top until it goes right here. And then I hold it right here until it feels like my whole head's vibrating. And then I just place that simple intention. All right, Ardiff. All right, Treb, time. And then I'm out with Treb, hanging out with him, and Ardiff or Treb come in, and conversation starts. So that's my process. It's weird. It's not like any other channelers that I've heard about. And I've interviewed tons of channelers on my old radio show. And that's the one question I'm always interested in is what's your connection process? Because it's different with everyone.
So you're going to start to prepare during the break, and then I'll be able to see you off camera. The audience can't see you. I'll be able to see you. Is Ardiff going to give me the thumbs up?
You want me to bring Ardiff in first? Because usually after I'm neutral, then I breathe an ohm. If you want me to wait for Ardiff to come in, I'll have him give up the thumbs up, but that's an additional 2 minutes or so. But yeah.
Well, that's my question. Okay, so when I bring you back in, who am I speaking to?
Could be either. If you want to wait the extra couple minutes, we can wait for Ardiff to get fully in. If you want to have me come in and do the breathing and ohming, some people, they love the ohming sound, the thing. A lot of people who follow the YouTube channel and watch the channeling, that's part of their excitement. But it doesn't matter to me. I don't mind doing that on or off camera, whatever you want to do. But if you want Ardiff when he comes in, I can have him give you a thumbs up. I'll let him know.
Let's go that. Let's come straight back to Ardiff. I'll look for Aridiff's thumbs up, and then I'll bring you straight in.
All right. Yeah, that's perfect.
All right. Well, let's just go. Let's do this now. Let's take our break, and then when we come back, I'll chat with everybody until I get the thumbs up, and then we'll go straight to it. Sound good?
Sounds good to me. I'll be ready to rock and roll, and I'll see you guys on the other side after I'm done channeling.
I'm so ready for this.
All right.
Stay right there, Rob. We're going to take our quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking with Ardiff. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, taking a break a little bit early so Rob can do his thing. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer and UNX Networks. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. It's about to get good.
You're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the X.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl, Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hello, Fadernauts. Jimmy Church here, and I know what you're thinking. Lately, Jimmy sounds so fresh. He's so alert. He's so now. Well, that's because of biotech research and their new supplement, BrainPEAK 9. BrainPEAK 9 contains 9 nutrients that may help support brain function of memory, concentration, recall, and improve focus. Other memory supplements can cost as much as $129 for a 60-day supply. But right now, for a limited time, if you use the discount code FADER, that's right, FADER, just for the Fadernauts, you'll get a 60-day supply for just $49. There's no better time than right now to see what others have been raving about. Help improve your brain function. Go to BrainPEAK9.com and enter the discount code FADER. That's right, for the Fadernauts. That's BrainPEAK9.com. Discount code FADER. And the links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Click on it now. Seriously.
This is Billy Carson, founder and CEO of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv is the fastest growing and one of the most watched networks in the world. And I would like to personally invite you to check out our expanding library of TV, film, lectures, and special presentations. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv has over 6,000 videos covering lost history, health, UFOs, spirituality, and our future. We are committed to our community, and with my personal invitation, you can right now get your own free 30-day membership at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Your own library of information starts today at ForbiddenKnowledge.tv.
Your 1 million gigawatt paranormal powerhouse, KUNX-DB. The X.
Are you ready to read about true paranormal events? UNX Media publishes nonfiction books about UFOs, ghosts and haunted places, time anomalies, cryptid creatures, and more. Just like KUNXDB Radio, it's all about unexplained phenomena. Visit www.unxmedia.com to see our list of great book titles by Debbie Ziegelmeyer, Gene Walker, Devin Listrom, Wayne Lawrence, Bill Spicer, and yours truly, Margie Kay. That's unxmedia.com.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Rob Gauthier is with us. And now I wanted to let everybody know, if you have, there are a ton of questions already posted, and we won't have time to get to them all. But if you want to give it a shot, post in all caps in the YouTube chat, and also hashtag F2BQ over in Twitter. I've got some great questions already over there too as well. And I'm watching Rob get ready, and very interesting. And this is going to be a lot of fun. And we don't do this often on the show. We've done this a few times over the years, and it's something that I'm always interested in and fascinated with. And this is going to be one of those moments. And radio gold, as I like to say. And also, we're doing this on camera too as well. And this is going to be a lot of fun. And I am, again, watching everything. Oh, Chris, that's a great question right there too as well. I might start off with that. Let's see. Here, watch this. Mark Tarana. There you go. There's your answer there. I just answered that question for Mark. Let's see. And there you go. Okay. All right. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black, and we're just a minute or two away from speaking with Ardiff, and the preparation is interesting, and I've seen many go through the process over the years, and I'm whispering because I'm not sure if Aridif and Rob can hear me, and if I'm interrupting the process. I feel like a golf announcer at the Masters, but there you go. This is going to be a lot of fun, and the comments also. I want to go back to what we were talking about before the break, which was free will. I've always found that extremely interesting. This past couple of weeks, I've been doing a lot of research into time travel, and also the multiverse, and of course the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once really got me thinking about this. And if I made this comment a couple of weeks ago, and I really meant it. Paradoxes and these issues with time travel and possibly even the multiverse, these issues and creating a paradox. Well, then why not do a paradox, right? And just do stock options, right? Right now, I'd want to know about Bitcoin, which tanked this week. So maybe I should ask Ardiff about Bitcoin. And here we go, Ardiff. I'm Jimmy Church, the host of Fade to Black. Welcome to the program. Okay, I've got you muted. Hold on. Ardiff, you need to unmute yourself. And I think we've got you now. Ardiff, Jimmy Church here, Fade to Black. Welcome to the program, and thank you.
Yes, greetings to Jimmy. This is Ardiff. And of course, before diving into your queries, we wish to express two things. First, above all things that are expressed in this day, to know, feel, and to perceive that you are loved is of the utmost importance. Most humans understand the construct of love, one entity that is separate and segregated from another, that share an expressed thought or emotion that is known as love. Yet in all human experiences, from the greatest recluse to the hermit that lives within their mountain, all of you have love. The universe itself holds a vibration of love and wisdom as the two forefront consciousnesses that are available to all entities. Secondly, we wish to express that this is our greatest excitement to co-create with you in this moment, and not only this moment, but through all moments of your linear time perspective. And of course, you may begin with your queries at your leisure.
My first question, which also just came in from our audience at the same time, I find interesting, and I love synchronicities of the universe. And I think foremost on everybody's mind here on planet Earth is, when are things going to get back to normal? Or is being unnormal like we are now actually normal?
Yes, of course. Each human consciousness holds their own definition of normal, so of course one does not fit all. But as far as when it will go back to what it was before, the last 3.5 to 4.5 years in your time, the answer is never again. It is not meant to go backwards. It is not meant to be an experience in which you have always experienced. Consciousness drives evolution through its own desire to change and experience that which is new. And even humans who are highly resistant to the changes that they may perceive in their daily expression are forced to deal with change. And in that construct, the universal consciousness itself is not desiring to implement an unwanted purpose or give you an unwanted construct to place within your reality against your desire. It is simply the motivation that creates all evolution, from the consciousness to the physicality, and with the physicality, evolution is perceived. What you are going through now is your time of evolution for swifter and greater changes.
Thank you for that. And there's a lot of conversation today here amongst us Earthlings, that some of the sightings that we've seen in the sky may be from a civilization that is living among us. Is this something that we have been unaware of? And if they are living among us, can you tell us who they are?
Yes, of course. A great deal of the ships that are perceived either by individuals who are working upon their own psychic networking, growth and expansion of the individual, or whether it be by those in greater groups of simple sightings, as it were. Majority of these are coming from the entities that most humans perceive as grey or hybrids of grey beings. There are multiple iterations of hybridizations that occurred with grey genetics, and with those grey genetics connecting with human DNA to create a race that is closer to humans. And why would those races need to be closer to humans? You would not accept a race that is drastically different and, for lack of better terms, alien to yourself, if you have a race that is very similar to your physical structures, that have studied through their parents' own lineage of DNA and have studied from the collective Earth by close proximity, and even those that have lived physically upon the Earth and would be able to implement the understandings of that in their first forms of communication with humans as well.
Thank you for that. That's an amazing insight. And next question. I have seen personally, and many have seen, orbs and plasma lights in the sky. Is this you? Is this a mantis type being? Is this an ET race and civilization reaching out to us?
Yes, of course. First of all, many of the orbs that you see come from different areas of manifest for the Earth collective consciousness. First, some that are seen physically and seen by multiple human beings are iterations of energies that are shifting between dimensional constructs. For example, that of the fourth and fifth dimension, where you are now holding your own physicality towards the ending border of one, going to the beginning border of yet another, and this ship lies with their own technology between those dimensions. This is why it is not fully physical in your perspective, but holds a great deal of light and manifest light from that craft as well. Others who are seeing individual orbs that are small or numerous in count are connecting with parts of their own higher self that are working with their own guides, as all of you have many. And when you are working to open up the psychic networking internally, activating the internal technology, your guides often send you messages in ways that you can receive. What better way than to visually stimulate either your third eye to see the astral projected version of what they are showing you, or to bring that energy into your dimension and where you can see it tangibly.
I am, and again, thank you for that. I love music, and my favorite band, I've got many favorite bands, but is Van Halen. And I'm a David Lee Roth guy, Ardiff. Do you have a preference, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
Yes, when we are looking at the construct that is known as Van Halen, as we have had much exposure through Rob's own listening, the Running with the Devil song is the one in which we appreciate the greatest, but we are not aware of the name of the entity that sings this song, although we are aware that the probability holds higher with the entity that is known as Sammy.
That's also a great answer, and it's a political and safe answer, Ardiff, but I appreciate it. I just recently appeared in a film, a release, it's a media release, about the Black Knight satellite. Do you have any information about the Black Knight satellite and its origin?
Yes, of course. The origin of that satellite is one that was expressed by the first exchange with humans from the race that humans understand and know as the Anunnaki. Now, of course, many humans call many races the Anunnaki, but what we mean are the first entities who made human contact, came to Earth and worked within the DNA spectrum of the human race to develop the greatest form of human for their own needs and desires. They created a great deal of technology upon your Earth, much of it which all of you have seen and perceived, such as your fundamental pyramids all around your entire globe in many different shapes and forms, thought to have been created by many different parts of the race that existed within your South America, within your Brazil, within your India, and within your Egypt. Yet all of those were technologically advanced portions of energies that created communication with that satellite. And of course, working in the dimension in which you are, they must have physical technology in order to communicate out of the world and out of the Earth atmosphere back to the planet which most humans mistake or call as Nibiru. And when they are shipping that energy forward through communication, this night satellite is one that was used for internal Earth-based forms of communication and off-world based as well.
Thank you for that. That's amazing. Is there that you are aware of? Is there information on this planet that hasn't been revealed yet? A vast library, something that would have information about you and other extraterrestrial civilizations that hasn't been revealed?
Yes, of course. And as we have shared through the previous 7 years of your linear time, there are unearthings of what most humans call ancient remains that are found nearly each year. And in each portion of those remains are found small clues. Some of you have perceived those that hold blue skin and short in stature comparatively. You have already found our own co-creation with early forms of humans. And as we have co-created with humans for a great deal of time, we are not the only race. Much of these are finding smaller and less ideal signatures of other races that have come to co-create with humans. Yet the larger embankments of files are mostly found within your crystalline structures. It is the technology required for you that must decode that information. Much of this is starting to work with the human understanding of the crystalline structure and the creation of that which is known as crystalline skulls.
Is there, again, thank you for that. Is there anything that we can do to identify good aliens, using discernment, a benevolent or a malevolent interaction?
Yes, if you desire to understand first the difference between that of a type 1 and that of a type 2, the type 1 will only tell you to ask yourself the final answer. They may give you guidance, they may share perspectives, but they will allow you the final word in what that truth is, as they understand the truth is extremely important to the owner of that truth and the perceiver of that truth in order to create from that level of truth. Secondly, as you are going into the type 2 spectral variety, to discern that which is benevolent to that which is malevolent, how much of their interactions with you as humans ask you to do something that is outside of either your entire collective comfort or individually certain smaller groups of your human race. If they truly care to work with humans upon the most benevolent range, they will not ask one of you to do something outside of your desire.
So I'm going to stay on that, and thank you for that, Ardiff. So are you suggesting that we shouldn't react with either? That we should make our own decisions and not act on advice or what we think may be good or bad?
Well, first of all, we would share with you to act upon your excitement. If beings that come to your Earth and are felt as positive and good, and you have an excitement to interact with him, or if you find a guide working with you in dream state and desire to work more consciously with the meditative state to open contact with him, if that excitement is not driven by a part of your own consciousness that desires to escape the form of reality in which you are, or to escape the person that you are, then of course following that excitement will be the most important. But other entities, other humans may tell you that it is not acceptable, not exciting, worthy, or not of your time and effort to co-create with either the entities internally or externally to you. Other beings and entities that exist as secondary or third layers of communication formed with humans may tell you the first race that came to visit you is not a good race. You must use your discernment in those exchanges. It will be excitement that follows the greatest path for you to act upon and to come with great reward to your own experience, whether it be that of shifting perspectives or not. You will find many times, just as you do in your human relations, that when you co-create with entities, it will serve a purpose for that moment. There will be excitement for the exchange, but when something goes awry as you perceive it, you will ask yourself, why did I work in that way to have excitement in that moment? Yet the experience of discovery, that energy in that moment is the purpose for you to have gone in the first place. Discernment within yourself is always of the greatest attunement, rather than that of words from races such as our own or from those who come in the most physical of forms.
Thank you for that. And I'm one comment that was heavy and much to think about. But thank you. Are you familiar? I'm going to ask you a question. Are you familiar with Jesus?
Yes, of course.
Is Jesus universal throughout the universe? A universal entity? Or was Jesus just visiting as possibly another race from off planet?
First of all, there are 4 iterations of what is known as Jesus, 4 manifestations of that which is known as Jesus. One that was the Savior, in which a book was written that did create miracles and did help humans from disease and hunger. There are other historical figures that were amalgamated in order to form Jesus, which could be written into a book and create fundamental ideologies about. And the 4th version is what most humans know as a topa, a collective manifestation of what you did believe and what you have heard, and collectively have created a construct around this. Now, the first iteration that we have shared, the entity that came into your reality and created miracles, was not an entity birth as a normal participant of an incarnation cycle. It was an entity that was birthed from what is known as a Christic consciousness or Christ consciousness. That consciousness itself is imbued with pure love and unconditional forms of love. That energy manifests upon every reality within this universal structure as one of the 2 components of the universe that cannot be stripped away or broken down is love and is light, is love and is wisdom.
Incredible. One last question, if I may, Ardiff, and thank you. Where are you now? Where are we communicating to you from?
Yes, if you were to look into your northern pole, if you could project your own consciousness to the planet which you know as Mars and sit upon the north pole of Mars, looking directly up, there will be 2 stars that center the northern pole region. The brightest of that is one which is known as Deneb. And Deneb is the star that we have our own planetary consciousness, and we have existed after leaving the Pleiades, hence the name that many humans have called our race as the ancient Pleiadian beings. Deneb right now is where our planet is, and right now is where I exist in this moment.
How many planets are in your star system?
Yes, there are 9 within the star system. Most of them are uninhabitable, as the star that we experience is extremely larger and brighter than yours. Those that are closest to the star cannot hold life in the way past 2nd density basic forms, but the furthest out of those can, and of course do, hold multitudes of life starting from the bacterial constructs or primordial forms of life, as you would see it, all the way to our sixth dynasty race, which is nearing the end of its physical incarnation cycle.
Ardiff, I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to talk with us and answer some questions. And I want to thank you. And is it okay if I talk to Rob now and say goodnight?
Yes, of course. And before disconnecting, we wish to share with you, as you are grateful to co-create with us, as we have co-created with you. Asking your queries have given you the opportunity to see different perspectives. That perspective is allowing you to grow. And because we are all connected, we are growing just as you are with the growth. We congratulate all of you for the growth that you are having, and we thank you for the growth given to us. We will bid you adieu for this evening.
Thank you, Ardiff. Wow. Wow. Rob, are you with us? How you doing, man?
All right.
Yeah,
there you go.
And, that's just incredible. And let me ask you the same thing I asked Terraleka. Do you remember anything?
No, not of this conversation.
Yeah, right. Wow. And will you, do you ever go back and like this show, do you ever go back and watch it just to see what was said?
I will if the topic interests me or the event. Like, this is the first time coming to chat with you, so I'll re-listen to hear myself on the interview to hear if I didn't sound too dumb or say something stupid. Because I do a lot of interviews and always want to get better at them, right? To be able to share from my own self instead of a nervous part of me or something. And then I'll listen to the channeling too, because Ardiff and Treb are amazing, and I want to know what questions you asked. Honestly,
that was just a lot of fun, and I wish that it's an energy thing, and to ask you to do that for a couple of hours, that's just crazy town. But maybe at some point we can visit this once again in the future, and I would love to talk to Treb. Oh, yeah. By the way, I asked Ardiff, Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth, uncommitted.
Yeah, that's type 1.
Yeah, very political answer, very safe answer.
Type 1s kind of love everything. They see the value of all things, so it's kind of a pain in the ass to get them to go one way or the other.
So much fun. Great conversation tonight, Rob. And listen, my best to you and your family. Thank you so much. Again, I want to stress with everybody, we've been wanting to do this show for a number of years, and we finally got it done. I enjoyed every minute of it, Rob. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Jimmy, for having me on. And anytime you want me to come on, I'll be on. And maybe one day I'll get you to come on my radio show, too. And do it.
That's such an honor. I would do that in a drop of a hat. Now, where can everybody go and check you out?
EtWhisperer.com has pretty much everything. The newest venture I've been doing, me and my wife, Kalina, we ran a radio network for multiple years that had 14 shows at its max peak height. And we both did our own radio show, me and my wife, separate shows. And then I picked up my show again, and I'm going to start back our network again. So I've been interviewing like Daryl Anka, like CM Kozeman, Lee Harris, just all these amazing people. If you want to check that out, just look up the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. It's on my YouTube, ET Whisperer, but pretty soon I'm going to make a different YouTube just for the radio show, because it's beginning to overtake my channeling work that I've got on the channel. Everybody's there for the channeling. So
yeah, we know how that goes.
Yeah.
We know how that goes. Well, we've got the link for you, not only in the description box below, but over on the website. And again, thank you so much, Rob. Be safe out there, and let's speak soon.
Thank you, Jimmy. Have a great day. I had a blast.
It was totally awesome.
Worth the wait, right?
Totally. Rob Gauthier. And again, the links for Rob are down below and over at jimmychurchradio.com. This was a perfect show tonight. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that all of you did too. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. And this broadcast is only copyrighted 2022 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. Tomorrow night, our annual Disclosure Fest special event. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. Go Beckley Tappy.